So today I'm doing a building survey for this lovely old cottage. It's thought to be about early 1800s, late 1700s, around that kind of age. Now, no surprise, I've found damp on the ground floor, which isn't unusual given the age of the property. It's built without modern damp proofing provisions like damp proof courses and things. So, dampness kind of goes hand in hand with an old building, so most people think. Now, what I'm going to have to do as part of this building survey is advise my client on the potential causes of the damp and what will be required to put things right. What we don't do is simply say further investigations are needed, because that doesn't provide any value. So I'm just going to show you a few of the things that I've spotted and picked up on that will need to be addressed as part of the damp diagnosis and future remedial works. We've got an old solid wall here, a mixture of brick and flint, and we've got this horrible modern masonry paint which has been applied to the base of the wall. You quite often see this on older buildings. Sometimes it can even be like a bitumen paint, which is normally black like this, but this just looks like a modern plastic masonry paint. What this will be doing is restricting any evaporation at the base of these walls, and old solid structures like this rely quite heavily on that process. In combination with this, we've got high ground levels, so laterally penetrating ground moisture is going to be able to push in towards the building. You can see it's very damp around here as well. This is quite a common culprit as well, overflowing water butts. 9 out of 10 water butts I look at look like this, full up to the top. We've got gutters not going into, we've got downpipes, sorry, not going into gutters. Lots of leaking going on here. I'll show you what else we've got on the gable, which is suffering from quite a lot of dampness inside. So we've got a cement plinth, or at least a layer of render. It's not so much a plinth actually. We've got cement render applied to the base of the wall, which actually continues all the way up. It's just a slightly different finish here. Well, the render's been taken all the way down to the ground. This combination with the composition of the render, so the sand and cement, is going to be restricting any kind of evaporation. And as I mentioned, these buildings rely quite heavily on breathability, which is the easiest way to understand it. When the building fabric gets wet, it needs to be able to naturally dry and allow moisture to evaporate. Also got another, I can't confirm whether this is going on, it's not raining, but when you've got downpipes near to the areas of damp, this is always an area that will need a bit of further investigation. So what I'd recommend here is that the drains get looked at, and typically what that involves is either drilling into the downpipe or removing it and putting a camera down, seeing how the water drains away. Does it go into a soakaway or a suitable drainage system? If so, is it blocked? So that's really important, because if not, all that we'll be doing is the base of that wall will be getting saturated. Got concrete hard standings around here and no surface water drainage provisions. So that, in combination with the high ground levels, that is a recipe for disaster, because it's really going to promote isolated saturation at the base of the walls. Got lots of hairline cracks in the render, which you won't be able to see on the video. But this is a really common cause of penetrating rainwater ingress. And again, the rear of the property, you've got really high ground levels. So these are some of the external factors that need to be taken into consideration. Remedial works can be sort of planned accordingly. There's also quite a lot of internal issues like poor ventilation, incompatible material usage. So again, these are all factors that we'll be able to put into the report, so our client can set aside budget for repairs, plan remedial works. Most importantly, plan remedial works which will be sympathetic to the building fabric.